My name is Samuel Hadeniro. I will be talking about security principles in cybersecurity. Right. What are security principles? They are set of guidelines that help to protect data and systems from cyber threats. They help to, achieve the goal of they help to secure confidentiality, integrity, and the availability of data. All right, in an organization. Okay. So there are a couple of security principles that exist in cybersecurity, and the first of it is defense in depth. Defense in depth talks about use of multiple security systems or measures to prevent unauthorized access to data or system networks in an organization, right? And there are three key pillars of defense in depth. The first is the multiple layers. Multiple layers talks about using different security layers or boundaries to protect data or systems, and such that to protect data or systems, you right, they are like barriers that are set in place to prevent access to data, to prevent unauthorized access rather to data, right? And examples of multiple layers, we have a layer could be perimeter security. Those are the primary or the first layers in perimeter security. Then next one, we have internal network protection. We also have application level security. We have user management, and we also have physical securities like CCTV cameras and some other physical boundaries that we could have in order to secure our data. The second pillar in this defense in depth is diverse controls. Diverse controls. It's also talk about using different or varieties of security measures to protect systems and data. All right, such that when one of the controls fails, there's another control that is already in place to ensure the safety of data and systems within an organization. Examples of such controls could be technical controls, administrative controls. We also have physical controls and human controls as well. And the third pillar of defense in depth is the redundancy. All right, so redundancy also talks about using multiple backup systems. All right, so when one system fails, there's a backup system that helps to keep running, and or when one security system fails, there's another backup security system that comes up to keep safeguarding data and systems within an organization. The second security principle I'll be talking about is the principle of least privilege. Principle of least privilege, right? It's a concept that maintains that a user or an entity within an organization should only have access to specific data that is needed to perform specific tasks that are pertaining to that individual. All right, so example is within an organization, a cashier only has access to data that he's required to perform his or her duties, right? That the cashier does not have access to any other document or application within the organization, so long it is not required for him or her to perform her duties. And one of the ways to apply this is the RBAC, which is the role-based access control, right? So employees are given access based on the role they perform within an organization. Another could be functional based on, so employees are given access based on the functions they perform within an organization. And the good thing about the advantages of using this system of security is that it helps to prevent spread of malware across all data in an organization. So if malware ever gains access to a particular system, it's only going to affect the data that such user has access to and not all the data within the organization. All right, and it also helps to detect where there's security threats and safeguard systems from human error as well. The third security principle we're talking about is the separation of duties. Separation of duties, also known as segregation of duties, all right, is a risk management strategy, all right, that prevents a single person from having complete control over critical tasks. All right, so no singular person has 100% control over critical tasks, important tasks. And a very good example is when funds are needed to be disbursed for a particular thing. Someone is able to, in an organization, someone writes the request, another person gets to sign off, and another person gets to send or make the transfer of the funds, right? So we see three different persons in the process of ensuring that the fund is being disbursed for a particular purpose within an organization. And this is also important because it helps to reduce the risk of errors and accidents. So if the first person makes an error, this next person who is supposed to check or is also supposed to approve or work on the same document or data gets to make necessary corrections or realizes it. So they mitigate insider threats as well. It prevents conflicts of interest, all right, and helps to maintain data integrity so that no one is able to tamper with data before it gets to the next person, because there's always someone to check what the previous person has done. The next point is security through obscurity. Security through obscurity is seen as the weakest point, the weakest form of security principle that could be used, because it only relies on the idea that when the weakness or vulnerability within a system or in a data is not discovered, then the system is secure. But then the system stops being secure once the vulnerability is discovered. Every form of security that it has is gone. So it is not a very good security principle to employ, if at all it has to be used, or which in most cases is still used, but it's always used alongside other security measures, right? So we're not just waiting for someone to discover the vulnerability. Even though we don't want people to discover the vulnerability, we're also putting things in place to ensure that if vulnerability is discovered, there is a form of hindrance or there's a form of security to ensure that nothing is tampered with. Okay, so security to obscurity always gives a false sense of security. It's false because it looks as though it is secure, but it is not secure. It only looks as though it's secure because the vulnerability is not yet discovered. Once it's discovered, the fault and the weakness is exposed and data is breached. And the last point is fail-safe defaults, right? Under fail-safe defaults, we have various forms of fail-safe systems that exist, but fail-safe in itself talks about whenever there's a failure or an error in system automatically defaults to a secure state and only gives access based on exclusive rights, or when some specific conditions, preset conditions are met, right? So it gives access to users exclusively. Okay, and one of the first example of fail-safe default is fail open. Fail open is such that gives access to both incoming and outgoing of data within a system or a network system, such that operation continues to go even when there's a failure or there's an error or probably there's an attack. And this is not the best because it opens the system to attacks and malware and any other issues that could come up, right? The next is fail soft. Fail soft is a little bit similar to fail open because it also allows for access. It also allows for both inflow and outflow of data within a system in an organization. However, what it does is it reduces the capacity it reduces the flow of data, not as much as it usually should be, in a sense or in a bit to reduce the level of risk. So it keeps the system running in order to reduce the height of risk that the system is exposed to. All right, then another one is the fail secure. The fail secure defaults to a secure state, right? That means it blocks access to both incoming and outgoing traffics within a system networks. And is also very similar to fail closed. Fail closed as well disrupts and blocks every form of access, right, within a system and shuts down completely every incoming and outgoing traffic within a system, right? So that is all about security principles in cyber security that I can say. Thank you very much.